everyone. Thanks for joining me today on the Divine Messages podcast. My name is Karina and I am a psychic medium out of Calgary, Alberta. Today's episode is about fear. If there's one thing that I could share that I feel is one of the most important lessons that I have learned, that would be about fear. I spent my entire life in fight or flight mode. I was always on edge, waiting for the next bad thing to happen. But what I didn't realize was that I was actually attracting a lot of it. Fear is triggered by many things, and when you are afraid, your heart starts to race, you start to breathe rapidly, you get a sick feeling in your stomach, you may even get dizzy or start to sweat. You almost go into panic mode, and in that moment, your body is sending extra adrenaline and blood to your muscles and brain. It's preparing you for that fight or flight mode. But the truth is that there are many situations where it's not needed, and we create a negative environment because of it, and in turn can attract what we don't want. I know that everything in life happens for a reason, and none of us can go back and change anything from our past, but I sure do wish that I could turn back the clocks to not be so fearful. Those physical feelings I just mentioned that you have when you experience fear, well, I pretty much felt them on a daily basis since I was a child. I just had a conversation with one of my students yesterday about being a medium. She knows that she's on the verge of opening up to her own abilities, but she said that her fears are what are stopping her. She knows that when I was a child, I would wake up to spirits staring at me from the end of my bed, and she's afraid that if she opens up, she will also have that happen. I reminded her that I have taught her enough by giving her the tools to not have those same experiences. I know that my life purpose is to be a teacher because I have learned so many tools over the years to safely connect to the other side. And I reminded her that I would not be doing mediumship if it was scary at all. I used to actually be terrified of ghosts and spirits. I didn't want anything to do with them because I had had too many scary encounters. And I remember when I had first done my Reiki course, my third eye had opened up quite a bit, and I was extra sensitive to everything. And the house that we were living in at the time had a lot of spirit activity. And when the spirits started to really freak me out, I contacted my Reiki master to come and help me clear it. He had asked me why I just didn't do it myself because he said that I could. But honestly, I was so freaked out that I wanted no part in any sort of clearing of spirits. And at this point, I was only working as a Reiki practitioner. I was not working as a medium. So he came over one night, and he knew how scared I was, but he made me walk around the home and do it with him anyways. He knew that he needed to push me past my fears because I was supposed to be working as a medium. And boy, did I ever try to resist it. But as we walked the home, he pushed me to see what he was seeing. He asked me question after question, and yes, I was accurate, but again, I was only answering out of obligation to my Reiki master, not because I knew or wanted to do it. And I was shaking with fear. It triggered that very same fear that I had had as a child when I had seen so many ghosts. And I was so fearful that I almost wanted to pretend that they didn't exist. But as he pushed me, I slowly started to open up. And that's when I realized that connecting to the other side wasn't scary at all. In fact, it was beautiful. It was pure heaven. Only love, no fear, no judgment. And that's pretty much when I accepted that I was supposed to be a medium. It was my life's purpose, and it became like second nature to me. And yes, the negative side does exist, but I choose to only work with the greatest and highest of good, and that isn't scary at all. And the more that I worked with people to connect them with their past loved ones, the more that I trusted spirit. The hard part, though, was trusting people on this side. I would see, and I still see, the darker humans that roamed the earth. And for years I was afraid to go out and be with that energy. Going into any public place caused me such great anxiety, and because I was so fearful of bad people, I attracted them to me all of the time, just like a moth to a flame. The brighter the light that I would shine, the more I would attract. Two of my very good healer friends who know me quite well told me years ago that it was because I was surrounded by so much fear that I would keep attracting similar situations to me, and I did, until I had finally accepted that fear attracts fear. And the reason that I say accepted is because, of course, I had learned that by working as a healer, but my fears were so strong that I couldn't control the fear from overtaking my life and my thoughts. I almost didn't want to admit that I was in fact attracting negative people and situations to myself, and that's why I say I had to accept it. I had to take some responsibility for the situations that I had created by fear. Fear can wreak havoc on our lives. It can sometimes even be debilitating. And we all have certain fears and even phobias of some sort, but it's so important to work through them as best as we can. The phobias that we have mainly stem from past life issues, but the good news is that they can be healed by looking at them and acknowledging where they came from. I love working with people and doing past life readings to help them understand exactly where these fears are coming from, and we work together to heal them. Now let's go through some ways to help you overcome fear. Number 1, try to recognize and identify your fears. What is it that you're exactly afraid of? Try to become more aware of your thoughts because those thoughts create emotions, and if you want to change how you feel, change your thoughts. Be more mindful of where those thoughts have come from, and once you identify them, it will be easier to work through them. For myself, I had to sit with my fears and recognize that most of them stem from past negative experiences in my life. They always made me fear the worst. I had to keep telling myself that I had learned from those experiences, and I choose to now move forward in my life fearlessly. I choose to not attract old patterns and fears. Number 2, pay attention to the physical effects of your fearful thoughts. If you feel that awful pit in your stomach, your chest tightening, your increased heart rate, try to catch them right away and then consciously replace those sensations with the feelings that you would rather have, like imagining yourself in a happy place, such as sitting by the ocean. Imagine yourself happy, joyful, and peaceful. Those sensations feel like a warmth within your body, a calmness that feels so good. And you could also try some good deep belly breaths. So imagine a beautiful yellow or golden light coming through the top of your head from the heavens. And as you breathe in, imagine only love being poured into your whole body. And when you exhale, breathe out that fear. Ask your angels to come and take all of those fears right off of you. Number 3, choose more positive thoughts. Although you can't get rid of all negative thoughts by not thinking of them, you can cancel, clear, and delete them in the moment and replace them with something positive. So, for example, if your thought is, what if I don't get this job that I really need? How am I going to pay my bills? Stop for a moment, say cancel, clear, and delete, and then replace it with something like, I am living in abundance and the universe always provides for me. Thank you for the money coming to me easily. Number 4, use positive affirmations. Affirmations are very powerful statements that describe the reality that you would like to create. They are so powerful that they truly are the antidote to fear. When I feel fear that is starting to creep in, I immediately start to say things like, I am safe, I am protected, life is good, I am happy, I am at peace, I am healthy, I deserve love, or I am calm. Number 5, use gratitude when you feel fearful. When you do this, you raise your vibrational level and it helps to calm your energy. So, for example, if you are fearful about flying, try saying something like how you are so grateful for the opportunity to be able to travel. This simple trick can shift your entire mindset. Number 6, be very mindful of your diet. All of the processed sugars, sweeteners, additives, and chemicals have a very powerful effect on our bodies. They can lower your vibration, which in turn attracts fear, anxiety, depression, and more. I've learned that I crave very unhealthy foods when I am fearful or anxious or depressed, and I now try to be careful with what I consume and when. I try to eat those low vibrational foods only when I'm in a very high vibration so that I don't sink very low. Number 7, release the need to control. When we are fearful, the first thing that we want to do is control the outcome. Try to focus more on the here and now. And I've always loved this saying, if you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are at peace, you are living in the present. And it really helps to calm the fear if you focus on just being present. Number 8, don't be ashamed of your fears. It's okay to feel worried about things in life. We are all just trying to navigate our way through, and each and every single one of us have our own fears. Forgive yourself for your worries. You are not weak. It is okay to not be okay sometimes. And for myself, I had to learn that I did not have to be perfect as a healer. I remember feeling not good enough when I first started helping others. I actually felt like a failure on many occasions, but over the years I've learned that it was okay to not have it all together as a healer. I've been finding my way by serving others, and now instead of feeling like a failure, I am proud of where I am at in my journey. So be proud of all that you have already overcome in yours. So I want to leave you all with this today. Fear can only take over your life if you allow it. We cannot always control what happens to us in our lifetimes, but we can control how we react to it all. Remember, you aren't the only one who struggles with fear. We all have our own, and knowing that everyone suffers from some sort of fear helps to normalize it. The key is to not allow it to rule your life. Acknowledge it, sit with it, and work on healing it for your peace. One step at a time is all it takes. And please remember this one very important thing. Fear attracts fear. What we worry about manifests in one form or another. So do your best to cancel out that thought and replace it with a loving and positive one. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today on the Divine Messages podcast, and I hope that this episode helps you to all learn how to overcome your own fears. Please bear in mind that the perspectives and opinions represented in this podcast are based solely on the Divine Messages interpretations. We can in no way be held responsible for the actions of our followers.